event that's scheduled for today. Some really great, really dope guest speakers that's going to be up here and share their stories, talk about their books and their journey to becoming an author. My name is Jvion Jones. This is my co-host, big brother. Tell your own name.
Brother Hannibal.
Brother Hannibal. All right. And again, so what we have in store today is, if there's any authors in the crowd right now, we would like for you to stand up and tell us about yourself, any books that you have, or if you have any ideas, if you want to be an author, if you have any books that you want to write in the future, let's talk about that. Second portion is we're going to have a guest speaker speak. After that, Hannibal and myself, we are going to have a session at the end where we talk about the process of writing a book, where our good brother Nikia is going to be up here moderating for us. But before we get started with all that, first thing we want to do is open up in prayer. Brother Hannibal.
You can stay where you are, family. Everybody bow your heads from in the name of the one and true living God. We call on you, we thank you. We thank you for such a successful weekend that you have started for us. We thank you for great together as a family, no matter what our backgrounds, our thoughts, our viewpoints. You brought us together with one particular focus, and that is to grow into oneness with you through the process of writing. We ask that today be a successful day. We ask that each and every one of us learn something new, that we're open, that we continue to grow, and continue these great opportunities you have blessed us with. And we say together, Amen. Brothers and sisters, we're excited for you all. As my brother Jvion mentioned, my name is Brother Hannibal. We're going to be getting going. My request of you all, if you have a pen and paper, take it out. If not, get your cell phones. We got Apple Notes. If you have notes on some kind of way to take notes on your phone, your devices, because the game plan is to give you something that we're all learning today that we can take home today and start the process successful. Now, my brother brought up if there's anyone who are actual authors already or looking to be authors, we would love to hear a little bit about you and your book that you've written or you're working on. Your sister, what's your name?
Yeah, she wrote.
Good morning, my name is
yeah.
She's in Humble Clothing. We got Humble Clothing in the building as well.
Yes, my name is Tanya Candy Thomas, and this is my book. It's called Mistakes Are Made for a Reason. It's a memoir about overcoming childhood trauma. The name comes from I was a mistake from my parents, so they despised me, and so I wrote the book about it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kirk Nelson, Martell's father-in-law, and the reason I'm here today is to write a memoir regarding the 10 plus years that I've had seizures, and not just the medical aspect, but the personal aspect. So the book I'm looking for is titled Seize My Seizure Lifestyle. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish.
Thank you, family. Thank you. Anybody else?
Here we go. How about me?
My name is Bilal. I'm the Guru Academy, and I actually have a couple of ebooks that I've written. One called Black is Still Beautiful. I think the title speaks for itself. And then I have another one called 5 Tips for the Successful Black Homeschooling Parent. And so those are 2 ebooks that we have. And we develop curriculum. We got some ebook curriculum series that are coming out that are related to career exploration.
Thank you. You got something to say? I got you.
I am James Jackson. I am an author. I have 2 fiction novels out. One's called Fraternity Wrote the Pledge, and the other one's called Blue Ridge, A New Home. I'm a dreamer. My books were originally dreams that I had that would not go away, so I had to write about it. And I continue the journey. I have written over 23 books, finished and unfinished, and I'm looking to publish them all now.
And where can we find your books?
I'm in over 25 stores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all online. Unfortunately, I'm not in actual stores right now because there is a whole little stocking fee that comes with that. I couldn't afford it, so online is written best. But Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com are probably the best fit for that. And if you do ebooks, they are available to you as well.
Okay. And the next one that we have, you will be up here. You will be up here. You will be up here. Mark your calendar.
I got 6 or 5 days.
It might come sooner than this next go around. You know, it might come sooner. Anybody else had anything they wanted to share? Oh, that was just doing Black Power. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brother Nikia. I am a part of OBFC, so we're the ones that are hosting this event. This author as well, self-published. The brother right now, this particular brother right there is standing right over here. This brother, he's actually working on my manuscript for a re-release of my original book. And then I have another book that I'm working on right now currently called The Modern Day Slave. It's based on, I got a podcast that's out as well, but it's really based on helping to educate people around the mental constraints that are keeping us enslaved. And that's invisible. We don't even know that they exist, but it's a word of truth, as you said. Sir.
Thank you. This event, I'm one where I always say I feel like everyone has an author inside. Yes. Every last one of us. You, everybody. We all have a unique story to tell. We all have expertise. We all have opinions. Some of our opinions, they shouldn't be heard, but we still got opinions. Some people need to keep quiet, but it's all good. We still got opinions, right? We all have stories to tell. So we all have a story that needs to be out there that somebody can learn from, somebody can hear, and it can, hopefully change their lives. So this event is for that exact reason, and again, I'm grateful that you all came out to support. With that said, I want to get started. If nobody else has anything else to share, I want to bring up our first guest speaker, the brother Guy. Everybody come up.
Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Guy Lodge. I am the author of children's book, Valedictorian. I also own Lodgewell Publishing. And, I think my story can help people who want to also be on. So that's what I'm here today to do. And I want to just start by really quickly asking, by show of hands, how many of you feel like you have a book in you that your heart and your soul is compelling you to write? Okay. And by another show of hands, how many of you believe that book will help others that look like yourself, that are from the places that you are from, help them to navigate some difficulties in their life? Okay, perfect. And last one, how many of you guys believe that book would also open doors for you as an author? Perfect. So I, like many of you, would have had my hand up multiple times. Even though I've written a book, I also got other books that my heart and my soul is compelling me to write. And I have two stories that I want to tell you that can help you with your journey. So literally, I can vividly recall hearing the word valedictorian for the first time. I was in the auditorium for graduation rehearsal, and our principal was on stage and said, "I would like to introduce the valedictorian of this year's graduating class." I was in the audience like, right? It was the first time I heard the word, and deep down that made me feel some type of way, mainly because I felt like I had the potential to become the valedictorian. Had I known about it sooner, I feel like that could have given me the energy towards school that I didn't have in the beginning. It wasn't until I actually found basketball that made me say, "Oh, if you want to play basketball, you have to be a good student." That's when I turned it on, like instantly. So I feel like this book can help others, help kids to know what a valedictorian is from as early as possible, and it can help them, strive to be the best student that they can be. But even though that experience was planted, it planted the Lodgewell Publishing seed within me. That seed sat dormant for almost 20 years. I graduated from high school, college, got married, was blessed with 4 amazing children. I became laser focused on their development and mastering my role as their learning coach, as their first and best teacher. With research, patience, and consistency, I was able to teach them all to read simple baby books from the library by the age of 3. By the time they were 5 and started kindergarten, they were all reading between on the 2nd to 4th grade reading level. So I was really into books at the moment, but I was still having that thought about valedictorian, right? So for several years I was up to my ears in picture books, reading multiple picture books to my multiple children, and having my multiple children read multiple picture books back to me multiple times per day. I became well versed in story arcs, character development, story pace, as well as PowerPoint placement and direction. Because of my experience of learning what the valedictorian was too late, I wanted to ensure that my daughters knew what the valedictorian was from the very beginning of their educational journey. Not saying that they have to be the valedictorian in order to be successful, but if it is an attainable goal, I wanted to make sure that they, number one, knew what the valedictorian is, number two, be inspired to strive for academic excellence, and number three, have a blueprint with practical steps to reach that new lofty goal. So I looked high and low for children's books that I could do all of those things with, and when I couldn't find one, I realized that I had an opportunity. I decided right there and then that I was going to write it. Not only that, I also decided I was going to use my daughters as the strong, positive female characters to not only inspire them, but to also inspire the whole world. So in an attempt to write a few things into existence, I wrote valedictorian. Empowering and inspiring my girls to strive for academic excellence while empowering and inspiring readers worldwide. It was by far one of the best decisions I ever made. So when I was finished with the book, when I finished editing the manuscript and organizing my illustrations for valedictorian, I immediately knew that I had something special. This trajectory-changing children's book not only empowers students by explaining what a valedictorian is as early as possible, but it also inspires them to strive for academic excellence. Determined to find the absolute best publisher route for my book, I put my head down and did the research. I read, I studied, I observed everything that I could regarding publishing. It quickly became crystal clear that self-publishing was going to be the path to success. I realized that self-publishing would allow me to invest in myself, keep 100% of my book's rights and royalties, maintain 100% control over my project, and maximize my profit. Excited to embark on this journey, I carefully selected a self-publishing company that was affordable for me and that offered the most comprehensive service. I was eager to start, I was eager to learn, I was eager to bring this book to fruition. Unfortunately, though, I started to see that the definition of high quality, professionally published, and highly marketable book was not the same definition that they had. So I decided that I would eat the loss, I would cut ties with that company. More importantly, I also decided that I would equip myself with all the necessary knowledge and information to do it for myself the right way. So I devoted myself to unraveling the complexities of the publishing process. I immersed myself in the latest books on self-publishing. I sought wisdom from well-established editors, publishers, printers, and college professors. And I even took innovative self-publishing courses. Failure was not an option. You only get one chance to publish your first book. I was determined to get it right. So the fact that how the book came about, I feel like it can be inspiration for you guys. And I just wanted to share that story with you guys, and that's what I did. I would love to open it up to any questions. If anybody has any questions about my journey that can help you choose.
I got a question. Towards the end, you mentioned that the company didn't have the same standards as you as far as the quality of the work. Can you go into a little bit more detail like that?
Absolutely. They were making recommendations that made me feel like they didn't understand the culture. They didn't understand my need as an author and why my story was important. And the suggestions didn't add up. So I decided to just cut ties, literally cut ties with them, and said I was going to do it myself. It was more so about the culture that they didn't understand.
And that's something that not just in writing, that can permeate all different types.
1,000%, I agree. 1,000%. Yes, sir.
What is your distribution process? I know you're probably online, but where else are you distributing your book through?
So on Amazon, physical copies on Amazon. So it is also going to be a part of the Prime, so that way it can be millions of eyes can see once you're a part of the Prime packaging, because the next stage is shipping, all of the other benefits that come with that. So Amazon, my own website, which is largewellpublishing.com, of course, hard copies and soft copies. But Amazon and as well as the digital copies on Apple is on Apple, is on Amazon, is on all of the digital platforms as well.
Do you have PDF downloads for a person who can't buy the hard copy? Do you have a copy of a PDF download from your website?
No, I do not have that option. But for me, the option, the closest option to that is the ebook, because it's a lot less, and it's like a PDF. Any other questions? Thank you. I just wanted to again share my story with you.
One more question.
I'm sorry, I do have one. I wanted to know where were your children now? How are they doing?
Oh, they're doing great. So I mean, them starting kindergarten on the 2nd to 4th grade reading level has been transformative. The confidence that they have, the love for learning that they have, it's second to none. And it's all about the early start, right? Like when you start early, it's not something that they want to learn from. It's actually something that they want to run to. So having those first years was by far one of the best things that I've done.
That's wonderful. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brother Guy Live, brother, thank you again for sharing the story. Absolutely. This next presenter, I'm actually really excited to get to personally introduce this person. She was here in the audience last year in our first one. She's connected with many of us to go through the process. She's had the normal ups and downs, the fears, the challenges, writing books, and many stopping points. She's even taken time away to give birth to this beautiful child. You hear son, you know, enjoying life. You know, got me a little jealous right now. Even to the point when she received the call to be one of our speakers. She's been working on this book, and she got to a point where she didn't think she could finish it. And she called me about a week or two before today, and was like, I can't believe it. So I'm so excited to bring up.
Hi everybody, my name is Symone Tucker, and I just finished my first novel. My first book is called From Destruction to Destiny. I've been writing it for about a year, a little over a year, about a year and a half. I've been writing it. My inspiration for the book originally was in 2019, I lost my younger brother to gun violence, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. My brother was one of the closest people. My brother was one of the closest people to me, so I had to find a way to do something with that energy. And I was praying one day and I told God, I have to give me something, because at this point I don't know. So God gave me the book From Destruction to Destiny, because that's where I was at. I was on a destructive path and I had to choose to change my path. And so I started writing. He gave me the book. He started giving me the words, and I just got on my computer and I just started writing. And so I just wanted to talk about today what that journey looked like for me, because some people, becoming an author is a beautiful, beautiful journey, but it's not all butterflies and rainbows all the time, especially when you're writing for a purpose and you're writing with intention. So I'm just going to go through, I wrote down some points I want to make today, some things I want to, for new writers and people who are writing, just to keep in mind as you go on the journey. Just for the sake of honoring him, my brother's name was Irvin Harris. He was gunned down in front of my mother in 2019 on Thanksgiving morning. So I just wanted to do something with that, because I feel like we spend a lot of time in our community talking about what the others do to us as a Black as Black people, but we definitely have to take time to pay attention to what we do to each other. My brother was killed by a Black man. So, I'm just going to walk through some of my points. So, with that being said about my brother, my first point is to remember why you started writing. Whatever that may be, it's going to carry you through. When it gets hard, when you get writer's block, when you don't know what to put on the pages, when you get defeated, when you don't want to do it anymore, when life doesn't stop because you started writing a book, right? It's still happening. You're still parenting. You're still working. You're still paying bills. You're still dealing with whatever may come. The pandemic hit at one point, shut the whole world down, but it can't shut you down. You have to remember why you're writing so that you'll keep writing. My second point is, let me back up. So the book is called From Destruction to Destiny. The story is about a girl named Tiana Daniels. It is fiction, but her life is influenced by my life. It is exaggerated for the sake of the story and for entertainment purposes, but a lot of what she's faced, I have faced and overcome. The main character's name is Tiana Daniels, and for the sake of the closeness of how I was to my brother, in the book, her brother is her twin. The name of her brother in the book is Khalid, which was my brother's middle name. And so, yeah, so it's just her journey from destruction to destiny. It will be a 3 to 4 part series. Book 1 is what's done. It's being edited right now by Jvion, who is amazing. One thing I will tell you, before I go to my points actually is connecting to this community is good for you. Like, I came here last year as a fresh writer. I didn't know, I had already started writing my book before the Lord connected me to this community, and I didn't know how to keep going or what the journey looked like after I got the words on the pages. What happens next? How do you edit a book? How do you put it together? When you publish it, what does that look like, right? I didn't have any of that knowledge, and it wasn't until I connected to this community that I was able to gather that information. And last year, I started working with, that's when I met Brother Nikia, and I met Brother Hannibal, and they just all together work to make this community work and to help you. And as much as, there are services, of course, you invest. There's services you have to pay for, but they don't even cost money. You don't hear anybody pushing the cost of things here. They really have a heart to see your book published and see it be solidified in the earth. So that's a beautiful thing. So the next point is, after remember why you started writing, it's not about you. And I have to honor and give that point to my apostle, my bishop, who has always taught us that learning, but as I started in ministry, but as I started writing, I started to realize that applies in all aspects of our lives, especially our brothers. When you're writing, even though you're writing the story, you're putting the words on the pages, it's not about you, because once that book is published into the world, it's about your reader. It's about what they're going to experience when they pick up that book and they're reading your book, and what it does to their life and how it impacts them and how they can apply that moving forward. Even if it's fictional. My book is fictional, but it's going to affect someone. Someone is going to relate, somebody's going to read that book, and it's going to touch their life in the way that other authors have touched mine. So even when you are remembering why you started writing, if remembering why you started doesn't help, just tell yourself it's not about you. You have to finish the book, you have to finish the journey, you have to keep writing because it's not about you. Even though it's not about you, it brings me to my next point, don't exclude yourself. You have to put yourself on those pages. They have to know who you are as an author, even outside of your book. You have to build your community, you have to talk to people, you have to get to know people, you have to connect with your readers, you have to connect with your community, because they have to know who you are, because when they read your book, especially if it's nonfiction, they have to be able to trust your words on these pages. If you just write in a book, but they can't really relate to you, or they don't feel that they trust the author, they're not really going to take the book seriously. I wouldn't as a reader. If I can trust the author, if I know that these words on this pages are genuine and sincere, I'm more likely to apply it to my life and take value to it. And then also that's where word of mouth comes in, and tell other people about your book. Because not only do I trust the words on the pages, but I trust the person who wrote it. The next point is, which brings me to Brother Hannibal. And I didn't tell him about this part, is to consider mentorship. like I said, I started writing my book on my own. I just got on my computer one day and I started writing. But when I hit writer's block, like when I started not really being able to know how to move forward, or I didn't know how to keep going, or a chapter, I got stuck on a certain chapter or a certain point in the book, it was because I had a mentor that I could pick up the phone and call. It was because I was surrounded by a community of people who had already done it, who had been there, done that I was able to keep going, and I didn't have to feel like I was on the journey by myself. I feel like in life, especially as a people, we go through a lot of things alone. And sometimes it's not always on purpose, or it's not always because of the people around us, but because we have allowed life to convince us that we're alone. So we go through things alone. We isolate ourselves. Do not isolate on your journey. Do not isolate. Open yourself up to mentorship. You're not always going to hear what you want to hear. They're not always going to agree with what you have to say, but somebody knows better than you. And you don't have to take everything they say, but you can take what they say, you can put it with something you know, and you can come out with something great. So consider mentorship. There's some great authors in this room. There's some great people in this room. Connect with them and see what they have to offer you. Even if you've written 10 books, it doesn't mean you can't be mentored on your 11th book. And don't let anything block you from choosing your mentor. Nothing. Religious beliefs, family connections, nothing. God can use anybody. So allow him to use who he has placed in your path to get the job done. At the end of the day, God has to be glorified. I gotta, because I'm live, I'm gonna get down to my apostle too, because that's his. Copyright. But yeah, so there's that one. And writer's block does not mean give up. Just because you have some days, some weeks, as y'all heard me, some months. I had 9 whole months. Writer's block does not mean give up. It doesn't mean the job is done. And I'll be honest, when I hit writer's block, which I hit before I got pregnant, and then I got pregnant, and then I had a high-risk pregnancy. It was very hard. I was in and out the hospital. I was in the hospital with blood pressure levels of 189 to 200 multiple times, and the whole right side of my body went numb at one point, and I thought I was going to have a stroke in bed with my other child, and it got ugly, and I thought it was a wrap. I thought I had given, I'm not going to say I had given up, but I didn't see a future in the book because I couldn't find the words to finish the book. And this is going to lead me into my next point, but God told me one day to start writing again. Pull the laptop out and just start writing again. You have to finish the book. Just because you have writer's block doesn't mean the mission is over. When you start a book, you're on a mission. You're on assignment, I should say. It may feel like, oh, I'm just writing this book because I want to know. God has put you on an assignment to finish something in this earth that he knows somebody's going to need at some point. I started writing the book again, and literally maybe 2 to 3 days after I started writing, I got a message from Jvion about the CD. So had I let writer's block be my end, I wouldn't be here right now. The book wouldn't be done. If I had not considered mentorship, the book wouldn't be done. So if I had to act like it was about me, the book wouldn't be done.
I still would have made you give us a minute.
We already discussed that.
And Brother Hannibal, you're going to do the work. You're going to say the most humble, nice way possible. It's going to get done. Which leads me to my next point, pray. Pray, 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 pray. You have to pray. Do not just sit down and start putting your flesh on hinges. Pray. Your flesh is not going to save anybody's soul. Your flesh is not going to change anybody's life. Your flesh is going to cause your readers to stay in their flesh. But if you're trying to push somebody, if you're trying to change lives, if you're trying to save souls, pray. So that as you are the vessel typing the words, but God is the spirit that's putting the words on the pages for your readers. And he's considering his children as he's creating this book with you. So anytime I write, I always pray. I tell God to cover my ears that I may hear him, to cover my eyes that I may see him. I tell God to take over my hands that he may type the words and to speak, because I don't know what this earth needs. I don't know what they need in the book for me, but God knows. So pray about what you put on the pages. Pray for yourself. Pray for your mental health. Pray for your spirit. Pray for your mind. so that you can have the know-how, the strength, and the wisdom to keep going. My next point is no second guessing, just right. Leave the editing to Jvion.
That's right. That's right. You got it.
No, don't second guess it. Don't write something and then stop in the middle of your writing and be like, oh, I don't know about that. Let me think about this. Or maybe I should erase that. Well, that doesn't look right. Let me put this word instead of that word. Do not do that. Just, when you first start writing, just write. Just write. I don't care if you 2 words ended up stuck together. It's some grammatical errors. Jvion gonna catch it on. He's gonna ask you, is this supposed to be like that? I can fix it if it's not, but if that's what you want. But leave the editing to the editor. Even if it's not Jvion, which he's an amazing editor, I definitely think it's the route you should go. But even if you have your own editors, whatever the case may be, leave that to them. You are an author, you are a writer, write. That's it, just write, because you can end up writing 1 book. What's crazy is when I first started, Hannibal told me, you're writing 1 book. Actually, Jvion and Hannibal said this. Hannibal said it 101 and Jvion said it last year. He did. But you don't know how many books are in you. I started writing 1 book. This book, I just into editing, and I just told Jvion the other day, I got 4 other books on my laptop right now. And that doesn't include the 2 that go with the one he's editing now. I have another book that I'm writing called The Man Who Killed My Brother Looks Like Me. I have another book that I'm writing called Hi Honey, which is love letters to my future husband, because I believe in God for things. I'm single, I'm not married, but I believe that one day I'll have a husband that is God fearing, and I have a book that I'm writing letters to how I will honor him. And there are 2 other books. I'm not sure the titles of those yet, but they're in the making. Actually, I am. I have a devotional I'm writing. And it's called Remember My Chains, and it's called that because in the Bible, the Apostle Paul, when he was in prison, told the people as he was writing to remember his chains. So that's why that's devotional. But those books came out of me just writing 1 book. And as I was writing, God was giving me downloads. And then I had to hop over and write this piece. And sometimes it's going to happen. You might end up writing more than 1 book at once. You know, let the Spirit use you. Obey the vision and the words. Obey the vision. You know what you see. I believe that visions, I believe that when you're sitting and you're just kind of quiet and you just have these visions in your head about what a book sounds like, or what it looks like, or the words, that's God's way of showing you that something is acceptable. That's God's way of saying, like, this is something you can have, you can do this. Follow that. If you get a vision, and even if you're just driving down the street or you're eating dinner and you're not even working on your book, but something comes on your spirit, stop. Pull out your phone. This is Brother Hannibal said. Pull out your phone, type it up in the note, grab your laptop, put it down, follow your vision, obey your vision, believe what God has shown you. Let's see, my next point is just understand that every word that God gives you to put on the pages has a purpose. So that will bring me to a point that I kind of already mentioned, but I want to honor this one too, my First Lady, Pastor Clark, because she's been teaching us this for years, but be intentional. The words you're putting onto those pages, like I said, are going to impact somebody's life, so have intent when you're writing. What is your intention? What am I writing this for? What do I want this book to do? Be intentional in writing, be intentional in choosing your editor, be intentional in choosing who's going to write your foreword, be intentional in choosing who's going to be the first one to read that book. Be intentional. Don't just be out here putting God's work and the work that you and God have done together in anybody's hands. Be intentional. Pray about all of that. God, who do you want to edit my book? Who do you want to write my foreword? Who do you see reading this book for the first time? What store should this book be in? Should I do Amazon? How do I do this? Be intentional about every aspect of the work. This is artwork. This is your heart and soul that you're putting into these pages. It's not just a book. Enjoy the journey. Yes. I know that I got up here and got real serious real fast. But enjoy it. Have fun with it. Especially writing fiction is fun because, like I said, my character is influenced by my life, but it's so much fun being able to create a whole new person, a whole new character, and give her the personality I want her to have, give her the physical aspects I want her to have, create a whole storyline for her. That part is fun. So have fun with it. Use your imagination. Like at that point, you almost have to go back to your childlike imagination and allow yourself to just dive into that and be free and enjoy that, because you don't know when you go deep enough into your imagination, you allow even like a teenage girl to pick up your book, a teenage boy to pick up your book, and still be able to enjoy it because it's not so. You know, some books are meant to be serious, but especially when you're writing fiction, have fun, use your imagination, enjoy it. Celebrate every win, every word. If you sit down and you haven't been able to write, and you write 2 pages, 2 sentences, celebrate that. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate what you're doing. Sometimes everybody's not going to clap for you. Everybody's not going to want you to write this book. There are going to be 1,000 people telling you why you shouldn't. There are going to be 1,000 people telling you why you don't have anything to tell the world. You don't have anything to teach the world. You don't have you. What can you teach? You are here, and none of us are children. We're all adults. From what I've seen in the room, so we've all overcome something. So we all have a story to tell. So if people are trying to tell you you don't have anything to celebrate, I just finished a whole chapter. I'm celebrating that. Build a celebration tradition for yourself. Every time I finish a chapter, I get to go to this. I'm gonna take myself out to eat. I'm gonna buy myself a coffee and create, which brings me to my next point, create an environment that you can write in. I'm a visual person, so I have a lot of quotes hanging around my house, sticky notes. I have my desk set up exactly how I like it. I love natural light, so my desk is in my living room. I can open my blinds and the sun can shine in. I turn on a podcast or my gospel music or something while I'm writing, and I created an environment that's conducive to my spirit, that's conducive to my mindset, so I can get the words on paper, and that's how I can write. If you are in an uncomfortable environment, if you are in an environment where you can't access your creative self, it's going to be harder to write. Sometimes that environment is not in your house. I read a lot of books. One thing I learned about reading about Michelle Obama, one thing I learned about reading about Barack Obama is he used to go get a cabin in the middle of the woods to finish his books. This man is married with a family, but he left his wife and children at home to go do what God taught him to do. Create an environment that you can write in. Create an environment where you can be one with the Lord and you can get the words on the page. So, my book is not physically here yet, it's still in editing. It will be in a couple of months. Okay, so I'm just going to read a short part from chapter 2. Just as I was putting my last box by the door so my brother could pack it into the truck, my mama busted through the front door. She was clearly drunk and ready for war. She always looked at me like I made her sick to her stomach. I always told her it wasn't me making her sick, it was the gin she couldn't seem to put down. I don't know why you think you're gonna do so well. You couldn't even get a full scholarship, she mumbled as she pushed past me. Don't start, mama, I said calmly as I turned to go back to my now empty room. This is still my house, so watch your mouth, little girl. Now she was yelling and I knew what was next. She rushed me and pushed me against the wall so hard the back of my head bounced off of it and a picture of my brother and I went crashing to the floor. Standing in my face yelling and smelling like liquor. You're leaving tomorrow, never coming back to town, and stay calm, I told myself over and over. No matter what, you can never come back here. I should have left your ugly self at the hospital. Maybe that man would have come back for you. My brother came out of his room. He hated when she talked to me like this. Mama, that's enough. Come on, let me lay you down. He was always a peacemaker, and you could see it in his eyes. It broke his heart to watch her break mine every day. Seen all of it. So that is what I have. I do have business cards at the end of the table that do have my logo. They have my website, which is destructiontodestiny.com. Also my Facebook page, which is Female Black Author. I will be updating that with all the information for my book launch, my book signing. I will be updating that. You can actually go to the website within the next week. You should be able to pre-order. I'm going to put pre-orders up, or maybe this week. We'll see. I'll work my edit. But
We'll be done next week.
okay, so yeah, you'll be able to pre-order the book. But other than that, are there any questions? Comments? All right, thank you.
When you get to the end, do you feel emotionally distraught, or what are your feelings like when you like, that's the last word?
So I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to mention what happened at the end of the book and I didn't, so thank you for that. So when I finished the book, it definitely felt like a breath of fresh air. It definitely was emotional because, especially your first book, because it's something that you really, if you really are honest with yourself, you don't believe you can do, right? Like we go through so much in life and there's so many things we tell ourselves in life that we want to accomplish that we don't accomplish. There's so many things we start doing that we never finish. And so when you start writing a book, sometimes it can feel like it's a lie, right? It's like you don't really see the end. So when you get there, it's emotional because you're like, wow, like, God, we did it, like I did it, like it's done, and it's a breath of fresh air. And then you celebrate. I got to the end of my book and there were like 2 other chapters that I was like really struggling to finish. And God showed me that those 2 chapters were hard to finish because they weren't the last 2 chapters of this book, they were the first 2 chapters of the next book. So again, that's where the prayer comes in, that's where intention comes in. So yes, the end just feels like a celebration. It is emotional, but it's an accomplishment and it's definitely something that will carry you on to what you have to do next.
I have a question. So how do you make time for writing when you have so much? What did you do to make sure that you set like goals or I need to finish this chapter, like deadlines?
Yeah.
Because I think my biggest restraint is trying to make time. Right. So what did you do?
I forced it. To be honest. I mean, when I say I forced it, I mean you have to command yourself and everything around you to obey the vision. If that means getting up earlier, you know, we're already early birds, right? But sometimes I have to get up a little bit earlier to finish this book. I have to go to bed a little later to write some today. And then even when you set that time, if you set a schedule like on this day and this day at this time, I'm writing, you know. If your kids are old enough, you gotta tell them like, look, during this time, leave me alone. I think, like, honestly, prior to this time coming, I will feed you, I will clothe you, I'll make sure you're good, but from this time to this time, I am unavailable. Anything you ask me, the answer is no. I do it with my son all the time. My son at home is 7. And I'm a single mom, so I'm all he has. But when I'm writing, it's got to the point now when I'm at the computer, he doesn't bother me because he knows. But prior to that, I'd have to tell him like, get out of my face. I'm writing, leave me alone. Just because I know how busy our lives are as moms, sometimes your kids don't care how many times you tell them to get out your face. Nope. They not get out your face. So you just have to get up earlier. It sucks because we're already up at the crack of crack. Go to bed late. And then take advantage of the time you do have. So we spend a lot of time sometimes catching ourselves scrolling on our phone, on social media, talking on the phone with our friends, just sitting around watching TV. That's time you need to be writing. Right. If you have time to sit there and scroll, even sometimes I'll take my laptop in the bathroom and I'm about to get in the shower and I'm in the bathroom, like instead of sitting there scrolling on my phone, I'm on my laptop. I'm writing. Transfer your document to your phone. If you're out at even an event like this today, you waited for the event to start, right? You on your way to work, you on your lunch break, your 15 minutes, your 30, right? Don't sit up talking to your coworkers. They're not finished your work, you are. You have to take accountability for your time. Get it done. Any other questions? Thank you guys.
Just to her point, great question too. Great question. One of the things I expressed to Symone was do something every day, even if it's small, because that's like taking a step on a mountain. Each step gets you closer to it. So even if it's not writing, it might be, I wonder what my book's gonna look like. What's the graphic gonna look like? what colors do I want? And just start researching things. You know, what do I want to publish it? Those little steps get you so much closer that you may look up down the line and be like, I already finished these parts because I was doing it during the time I was going to do a so-called writer's block.
For me personally, carving out time in the morning, right? First thing in the morning, I'm talking about 5 o'clock in the morning. And the peace and the serenity that you get at that time, right? Nobody's calling your name, nobody's expecting anything of you. Your mind is super sharp because you just woke up, right? That's when you're gonna have your most creativity for me, right? Again, complete peace and just clarity to be able to write whatever it is that's coming to me. Absolutely.
That morning component, and this is a running thing. I like to work at 3, 4 in the morning. Like that's when I operate best. Plus I got that little dude over here, and he an early riser too, so he might get up at 4, 5 o'clock. And once he up, it's over. You know what I mean? Like I can't do nothing. While he was playing games together while he was here. He got his headphones on. Oh, okay. He got the Pikachu headphones on because he can't hear nothing I'm saying right now. I'm alright. Yeah. Something. Yeah. Yeah. Say something. What? Yeah. Whatever. So take advantage of that morning time. It's just so peaceful. You don't have to worry about distractions in the household. You don't have to worry about distractions outside of the household. The rest of the world sleep. You don't have to worry about your phone going off, and you just know that nobody's going to bother you. So take advantage of that. And you know, and she, give her another round of applause. Hannibal, really? She laid out the blueprints. Like, so I really appreciate that because as you can see, it's not as difficult as you may think. You know, it's really not. And she mentioned one thing, you know, just don't worry about the editing and just don't worry about the grammatical errors. Just send it to me. Don't make my job too hard now. At least once, you know what I mean? Don't make the job too hard, please. Actually, it's this part. I found that like sometimes I'll be editing and I'll read a paragraph or a page and there will be no errors and I'm just like, I'm just wasting my time. Like, you know, I want to have some fun with this. You know what I mean? So like to these two brothers, I did their books and they were just such great writers. You know, they didn't have that too many mistakes. And so like they just made the job easier, just how good of a writer, great writers they were. So I really appreciate that. And that brings me to this next brother that I'm gonna bring up. Recently, new published author. He has his books over there. The good brother right here, and then she mentioned just writing it in your phone, taking it to your phone. That's another thing. Don't think too hard. Don't think too much into it. You don't have to have Microsoft Word or all of these programs or anything to write a book. This brother wrote his on his notepad on his phone and just sent it to me through text message. I took care of the rest. Right? Literally through text message, I took care of the rest. So you don't have to have those programs and all of that doesn't have to be in order. All of that stuff can work itself out. Like I said, we all have authors inside of us. Now, I'll touch on this later. If you can talk, you can write a book. That's right. If you can speak, if you can hear, you can write a book. If you can communicate, you can write a book. Right? Everything that she just spoke, you can transcribe that into a book. Right. You gotta have conversations with each other. You're giving too much, bro. You're giving too much. Ask me questions. Let me calm down. Let me calm down and bring this next brother up to the stage. Y'all welcome. Carl Bowers. Good
morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Brother Jvion and Brother Hannibal, for having me. My name is Carl Bowers. I started this book. It's kind of an explicit title. Everybody's full of shit. All right. I'll buy that. Yeah. So the book really comes together with me, right? Because I'm the main one that's full of it, right? So that's where it comes from. Is that we are all run that scope. I was raised by my father. Once I turned 13, my mother passed away when I was 13 years old. And so it made me rebellious, angry at the world. And everything that was taught to me was that you didn't have any worth unless you were financially above your counterpart or anybody who was your opposition. So I looked at everyone and every single human being as opposition, no matter the color or gender. And I'm a little nervous. So
Talking family.
You're doing good.
So I just started writing. I wanted to speak about how again, I'm nervous. I just wanted to speak about how I just started writing this book. It really came from anger out of being taught that everything had to be financial. Everything had to be this gentleman with this shirt on right here. Could you stand up for me, brother? And show everybody your t-shirt. We are all broke. Just broke at a different attitude. So it just goes to show that, you know, we get to a place to where I came to a place to where I wanted to give up a lot of the possessions and material possessions that I had, move on to something different. So I left St. Louis. I was born and raised in Missouri. I'm also a singer-songwriter. I traveled around the world with a rap group named Chingy. So we sold over 20 million records. And when I say consumption, I mean I consume. I'm looking at as somebody who is a reprised, a newfound, coming from the most gluttonous place that you could come from, where I couldn't walk in a room unless I was saw the biggest person or whoever I thought had the most money, and they were my opposition. So I was like, even to fight my father with having to try to make more money than him to prove myself as a man, you know. So anyway, I took it upon myself and I just sat down and I just started writing. So I had some experience with writing, especially writing things in my phone, because I wrote all my raps on my phone. You know what I mean? That's how I did all my recordings and things like that. So I just went to what I knew. And back then it was SkyTel pagers and things like that we used, you know what I mean? And so I just started writing. And I wanted to write about, one of the titles in the book is Consumption to Compassion. And it was leaving that consuming part of me in the gluttonous. And again, I lost, let me add, I lost 100 pounds, right? So I started focusing on my health over my ability to earn finances, which are still important. But I started focusing on my health and started focusing on, I quit drinking, quit smoking cigarettes. You know, I used to smoke cigarettes and stuff like that. Had a lot of vices and things, you know. So I let those vices go, started completely just focusing on my health, focusing on my journey with raising my son, who was back in Missouri, who I miss dearly every single day. I'm so envious of this brother right here to be able to have his son with him daily. It's a blessing. It's something that I really kind of regret my behavior in my past. But I take accountability for that and acknowledge that, you know, I wasn't the best human being at the time to be in his life. And I'm glad that I stepped away for a moment to gather myself. So this book was like therapy, you know. So I hope you all take the opportunity to read a few passages from it. It's really, it's only 60 pages, simplistic. I wrote it in the guise of people, young adults really, whose attention span with TikTok and Facebook and scrolling is low at the moment. So hopefully, you know what I mean, it'll give them an opportunity to feel like they've completed something, because I know it's important for kids to feel accomplished as well and feel like they can complete and go through a whole book and a full book. So it's really just consumption to compassion. That journey of getting over, I don't want to dive too far into that, but I had a sordid past too before the music that I'm sure a lot of people have, or young brothers have dealt with the law and things like that, and adverse ways of going about making money. I don't want to say the word. But I was in all the way, you know, in that lifestyle. And very disappointed in that behavior of mine as well. And not seeing that, you know, there's better ways that we can give back, and there's more things that we can add to the community than just taking from the community and taking the resources away from our brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? So I feel guilt with that, you know what I mean? And I live with that guilt daily. And it's challenging to move forward sometimes, knowing that the harm that I've caused to families. And, you know, I apologize for that, you know, to be honest with you. And so, anyway, the writing process though, writing, it's your book, it's your life. You do what you want to do. Don't let nobody stop you from being who you are or who you want to be or putting those words on paper. It's nothing that that can stop you or says that you don't want to express yourself or you can't express yourself. You should have the confidence within you or grow that confidence to be able to express yourself in any way. Even when you're feeling fearful or nervous, just let whatever flows out, flow out, let it come out. Be yourself, be your own individual. Don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to fail. I have failed so many times, and I can speak upon and speak about my failures, speak about the things that I've overcome, you know what I mean? So, again, take some time, read the book. I think it's a learning experience. It's nonfiction, kind of a synopsis of my life and the things that I've gone through, about being able to leave that dastardly world behind and move on to being able to move down to Arizona and get into hiking and health and and most importantly, God. Right? So with the help of Brother Jvion and some people that I've met recently, I've been able to really, and Dr. Thomas, get back into feeding the homeless and helping out people and seeing people who are less fortunate than me, and really realizing that I can add and give back to the community. So I really thank these brothers in OBSC for Brother Bilal, you know what I mean? I really thank you, brother. You know what I mean? They have really been a welcome in my life, you know what I mean? And showing me and giving me the inspiration to keep on going, just in life in general. When I didn't have anyone to talk to or express myself with, you know what I mean? And finding like-minded individuals to be able to talk with. Brother Nikia, you know what I mean? Who has been a great help in reaching out to me and just having somebody to conversate with, because that's important. Brother Jvion for trusting in me to be able to actually take my book and edit it and tell me like, hey man, this book is inspirational. Like, you really got some stuff to say. And that means a lot to somebody who, when you're sitting at the house and you're writing your story and you're like, is this gonna go over well? You know what I mean? What am I doing? You know, because you get that imposter syndrome. Right. And you get to a place where you're like, you know, am I a writer? You know what I mean? Like, I can write raps, right? I can write songs and stuff like that and hooks, but with a lot of negative conversation, a lot of filth, right? You know what I mean? You're talking about, well, we won't say it. But a lot of filth, you know what I mean? So again, thank you all for having me, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Anybody have questions? Questions, comments? They owe anybody money or anything?
I hope that the book helps you with your guilt. You know, I feel like you have made good with the stuff that you've done by writing the book. I'm definitely gonna try to get it inside of me because I have a son that I'm raising, and I just want him to know you gotta fail forward. So I hope that the book gives you relief, and that you know that you put something in this work to make up
For the negativity, I really thank you for that.
Hold on, brother, come back to the podium.
Because, you know, I'm listening to you and I'm hearing that it was a struggle. And I want to know how you felt as you were trying to express that struggle.
Oh, the struggle, right, was a kid losing his mom at a young age, rebellious, angry, mad at God, right, mad at the Creator, not understanding why I was the human being that had to go through these unfortunate circumstances. Moving into my father's home with his stepmother, knowing the relationship that he and my mother had that was at odds, and then seeing him treat another woman with love and care, I was angry at that, right? Because it didn't make any sense to me, like, because from what I saw as a 5-year-old to a teenager was a completely different man who I didn't get to experience grow to becoming a new man. So I was angry at that man. And so with me being angry at him, I was angry at every adult black male that I saw. And I looked at them as my enemy. And I looked at them as something or someone that I had to prove myself to or up to, or that I was better than. And that struggle just led me to leading down that life path of rebelliousness, which we've all experienced, and we know what that is.
I was feeling a lot of that. That's why I just wanted you to expound on that.
Thank you.
I think I was writing some of my life stories.
Thank you for letting me.
One more question.
Get comfortable. You ready to walk on? Have you forgiven your father?
Yes. Yeah, I've forgiven me. I've forgiven me for not understanding that a child can be a child. And a child can make mistakes and a child can not know. So with that being said, I have forgiven him. There's still animosity there with the way that I see just of growth, but the forgiveness is there because I've let it go and I've overcome that struggle.
You mentioned that you were like writing raps, so I was asking like, were you ever inspired to do like conscious hip hop? Because I feel like that's kind of like on a decline really right now. So it's like, I wonder how you feel about that.
I would love to do conscious hip hop. I just have, I'm from the Midwest with like a down south undertone, you know? So like, I want to do conscious hip hop. I just want to change the sound. I have a new sound that I want to develop with it, and I want it to be more, not as melodic or melotone. I want to bring more of a
spoken word,
that African, that lively, that, you know, that underground, as our ancestral roots, you know what I mean, to where we're bringing that away from that monotone, more that blues, jazz inspiration, to where the cadence of it is a bit different.
I like that.
Any other questions?
Symone have
Really, I had a comment more than a question, but kind of piggybacking on what she had said to you. I definitely can hear the purpose in your story. I think that you should definitely continue to move forward on that, but also coming from somebody who, like I said, lost my brother to the choice the other black men were making, connecting to which I was telling Brother Bilal that I'm always telling my brothers about, the Black Fathers Committee, that to connect to that, even as women who telling your children's fathers about that, because when you saying like you recognize who you were when you were with your son, and you wishing you could be there now, but just understanding that God allowed you the time to become who you are. And when you are able to connect back to your son the way that you want to, you're presenting to him a black author. You're presenting him a completely different man than he would have experienced had you not taken these steps. So don't carry that guilt. Applaud yourself. God has forgiven you. It's been thrown into the sea of forgetfulness. It's over.
you did it and it happened so that you could be where you are right now.
That's all.
Wow.
Hold on, one more. So to that point, you mentioned that, you know, you got to do a difficult thing, which is to leave your child in a place. What made you come to that realization that you needed to leave? And then more importantly, what do you think that reunification looks like?
Well, first, I've made some very poor choices in life. One of them was not picking the wrong woman to have a child with. My son's mother, my ex-wife, is a doctor of biology, right? So she's a scientist. She's a very intelligent woman. We grew up across the street from each other, so we've seen each other at our worst and our best. She has always loved me, continued to love me, and believes in me. And she fostered some of my bad behavior because of the love that she had for me. You know, and we're all guilty of that with our counterparts. But I was able to get away for a moment and, like I say, step away. It was very difficult to leave him behind, but it needed to be done. It needed to be done. I had to grow. She had to grow.
Yes.
And it was a situation where we grew apart in the relationship. You know what I mean? Because she was positive and moving forward in her career, which kind of kept her busy. You know what I mean, to say the least. And I was working in my career as well, but it was not positive. So I had to, so it was just something for, I mean, I won't go into it, but it was not positive, you know what I mean? And so I gave all my material possessions away, everything, I just gave it away. I gave away all the, what we call in the street, my work. I gave it all away. All of it away to friends and co-workers in the field. and I came down here to start anew. And like I said, it's been challenging, you know what I mean? But it's been for the better, you know what I mean? It's hard to navigate this conversation.
He trying not to incriminate himself. He's clearly on the run.
Sometimes life needs you to take that journey. Sometimes you need to take that journey to step back and be able to find yourself and to refocus. So it's powerful. It's very powerful.
And his book is very transformative. You mentioned you're going to try to get his book. No, you're going to get his book.
That's right.
And everybody's going to get it. It is available on Amazon. Search his name, search the title. Like I said, it's very transformative. He mentioned, you know, talking about his failures, and that's what writing is. You know, we've all failed in life. You know what I mean? What better way than just talk about it, to discuss it in the book? That way somebody else can learn from it. You know, I'm reading this book. You know how somebody say something, you go, man, I wish I said that. Like, that's how I am. I wish I came up with that. Like, you know what I mean? We think alike in certain ways. So I'm like, damn, well, I'm his editor, so you know, I might just put my name on it. he won't know. You know what I mean? Bad business practice, but it's cool. But the next brother right here, this is going to be special because this is actually his book launch. The good brother Bilal. Great work in the community for years. I met him in 2017 or 18 or something around that time. He was mentoring. I came out of here from California and I always wanted to get into mentorship. So I reached out to him on Facebook, and for a while we've been communicating. I kept on telling him, you know, I want to come out. I want to help out with the youth. And then one day I just showed up and just never left. I literally just inserted myself into his organization. I didn't ask nothing. I just showed up, and we've been rocking ever since. And I really appreciate this brother. Like I said, he does really good work in the community with people, with the youth. and this is a good brother. And he has a lot of books that is inside of his brain that he's going to be delivering. And so this is another example of, talking from your experiences. He has a lot of years in mentoring, so he wants to work on that. In OBFC, he is the founder of OBFC. So all of this right here, this is because of him. With no further ado, I want to bring up the good brother, Bilal, Munir, Rahim.
All right, son.
That's my mom right there.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I appreciate it, Brother Jvion. I wouldn't even be at this point really if it wasn't for you. So I definitely want to shout out Brother Jvion. I know it's been a long process for me as well. I think I probably mentioned this book idea to him maybe 2, maybe 3 years ago. And I really started getting serious about it maybe about a year ago, a little over a year ago. But that whole time throughout the months, like a few months ago by, he asked me, and he asked me so cool though. And so he'd just be like, how's the book coming along? But at the same time, it's so cool and calm. It's kind of like eerie as well. So, because I didn't have nothing to respond back with. So I'm like, yeah, it's coming, it's coming. So when I finally got finished, I was excited to be able to tell him that, I'm sending it your way, and I made it to that point. So again, Brother Jvion, thank you for staying on me, being my accountability partner. That's very important when you're taking on any type of journey. If you want to succeed in anything, you're going to have somebody that you need somebody that's going to hold you accountable for your goals and for your actions. So shout out Brother Jvion. I also want to shout out my family who came out to support me today. In the audience, I have my grandmother, I have my grandfather, I have my mother, and my father that just left. So I don't take that for granted. I know a lot of my peers, they don't necessarily have their grandparents, so it's very important to me to have my grandparents here to see me get to this point in my life. It's been a long journey. It's definitely not the end, but I'm grateful to have them here. I'm also grateful again to have my mother here, who's been with me obviously through this entire journey.
Bless her.
So I'm happy to say, Mom, look at me now. So thank you for having my mom. Absolutely. So, the book. So the book is The 7 Truths. We came here. We've been here for a while now in regards to the mentoring. But before I go too far, though, definitely want to also mention my wife and my wife and my daughter that's over there. My daughter Journey is over there, and then my daughter Alasia is not here. But I'm also a grandfather as well. So I have a grandson that's 2 months old as well.
Y'all making me look bad. I gotta mention my mama and my sister. My mama and my child.
Yes, I actually dedicate this book right here to my wife Courtney, both my daughters and my grandson. My wife, most importantly, just thank you for trusting me, believing in me as I leave every morning, every weekend, just to go, mentor and pour into other people's children and other people's families and other people's lives. So thank you so much for allowing me to do that in such a peaceful manner. I appreciate that. So let's get back to the book. It's The 7 Truths. And the reason why I named it The 7 Truths is because I believe that each one of these characteristics that I talked about are truths when it comes to mentoring our youth. I chose the number 7 because that's the number of years that I actually served in the position as a co-founder of a mentoring organization. I like to say it was the best Black boys or a mentoring organization in the city for a long time. I'm very proud to say that as well. We touched over 100 families within that 7 years, and it's good to just be able to, look out into the community and see some of your work, see some of the success of these young men and these families as well, based on the things that we all did. Of course, I couldn't have did it without the team and some of the people who helped me on this journey. So I'm not gonna really dive too deep into the book, but I am gonna read some of the quotes that are at the beginning of each book, or each chapter, excuse me. So the first chapter is titled Responsibility. Everybody say that, responsibility.
Responsibility.
One day I was just at work, me and my wife, we both work from home. So I'm just chilling at the computer one day, actually toggling screens, writing the book. But I'm having one of those dry spells where nothing is coming to me. But I know that I have to get this book out. So my wife just comes downstairs, and she always comes downstairs and just blurt out stuff sometimes. So she came downstairs with good, I wasn't expecting it, but she came downstairs and she said, babe, people always say patience is a virtue, but responsibility is a virtue. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And that gave me the motivation that I needed to keep going, because at that time I realized this book was bigger than me. I had a responsibility to get this information back out to the community so that they could see not only the work that was done, but that they can add to the work that was done as well. So, wife, when I said you come down and blurt out things, I didn't mean it in a disrespectful way. I appreciate the things that you blurt out. Y'all trying to get me. All right, so the next chapter 2, is titled Purpose. Everybody say purpose.
Purpose.
All right, so my purpose was I realized it throughout the journey. So as I'm mentoring, I'm finding different situations that made me realize that this was more of part of my actual purpose in life. So I started thinking about things that happened to me in the past as a child, and all of the things were aligning. But there was one critical moment in my journey that made me understand why that specific situation happened the way it did, but then also how I got to that point. So in 2006, I lost my cousin Jermaine Johnson to gun violence as well. That was a big transitional point in my life, because I actually got to witness it. I was one of the last people he got to see before the ambulance took him off. And then not being able to see him no more after that was a big,
That's void. Great.
Yes.
Yes,
yes, definitely. It was a defining moment in my life. It was defining because the lifestyle that I was living, I wanted revenge. I wanted to get back. I wanted to make this right somehow with the knowledge that I had. And the knowledge that I had included violence, unfortunately. Through that process, though, I didn't have anybody to back me up. When they talk about gangs and streets and all of this stuff, it's supposed to be a family, right? But when things hit the fan, the only people that I had to back me up were 15, 16, 17-year-old boys. And I couldn't let them take that route. That was on me. I couldn't allow them to throw their life away over things that they didn't even quite understand. So I shut down all of that. I told them, find something else to do with your life, because this isn't it. I'm not gonna be living this life, and I don't plan on none of y'all to live this life either. I'm happy to say that I know for sure 3 of those young men have done great things in their life. One I have lost contact with, but I know that I trust that he's still out there striving and making his way. But I do feel like at that point, the ball was in my court. I could have said, hey, let's get busy. Or I could have made the choice that I made, which allowed me to get to this point here. And when I look back on my mentoring journey, I'm saying that, that was a defining moment in my purpose, because I didn't know where I was going, but I knew that I was leaving away from everything that I've been. So when defining and looking for your purpose, think about the times when you were uncomfortable, because that uncomfortable feeling will help you align with your purpose. It'll cause you to try harder, to strive, to bring out a side of you that you didn't even know existed. So in those struggling times, think about your purpose. How is this aligning with my purpose? How can I find my purpose through this particular situation? Chapter 3 is called relationships. Everybody say relationships.
Relationships.
All right, so we know how important all relationships are, especially like in business. Of course, you know, you're only as good as the relationships that you build. But also in mentoring, your relationship with your mentee is going to define the whole experience of your mentoring journey. And there's just one thing that I want to mention when it comes to that relationship is to always be honest. And if something that you are doing or a part of your life, you can't fully be honest with this young man or young woman about, then that's also a sign for you to probably make some changes as well and make some adjustments. Because your life should be transparent in a sense, and you should be okay with being honest, because that's also what you're teaching to these young men and young women. So take your relationship serious. Understand that honesty will carry that relationship. The quote that starts this chapter is, "Knowledge is infinite and mentoring is like replenishing a garden, which is the earth." That's by Eric Rondo. I do want to read the purpose. In regards to back to purpose, the quote at the beginning of that is, "Mentoring young men is the closest thing that I can do to going back to talk to my younger self, because I see so much of myself in them." And that's Brother Anthony. Great brother. Also does great things in the community, and was and still is my partner and counterpart in this mentoring journey. Chapter 4, or the fourth truth, is patience. And the best way, the quote is, "The best way to learn is from your own mistakes. The smartest way to learn is from the mistakes of others." Mentors serve that exact purpose. And that's by Brother Jvion Jones. Yes, one thing I do want to mention about patience is, none of us are born exemplifying patience. It's something that we learn as time goes on. But in patience, remember to be patient with yourself first, because it's a learning process for you as well. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get some things wrong. But if you're patient with yourself, and you leave the space to be able to make the changes to correct that mistake. The fifth truth is community, village, and it takes a village to raise a child. I thought it would be important to put that there. That's one of my favorite African proverbs. About almost 10 years ago, I really started building my village. I come from a strong family as well, but a village it assists your family. The village assists your family in the work that needs to be done. Like my daughter Journey, she does Kung Fu, and you know, we talk about some of her masters and different things that train her, like who they are. And I tell her that they're a part of our village because they're helping raise you. You feel me? And that's part of the reason why I'm coming to them. I'm saying I can't do everything, but if you can do this part for me and I can do that part for you, and then somebody else can do this part, then our children won't miss anything. So you got to remember that village aspect when it comes to family. I would say first start your family, get that established. From there, start looking for your village. I call it the tribe as well. Look for your tribe, look for your village, because you're going to need assistance with raising these young men and young women. The sixth truth is the commitment follow-up. True mentorship is when the wisdom of the past illuminates the path of the future for those that grow beside us. That's my brother James Sisse Jr., who is also one of my mentors, but also one of the trainers of the Kung Fu that I just mentioned for my daughter. So every person that's mentioned in this book is part of my village, part of the journey that we all took together to get to this point, to get to these 7 truths, to help outline them a little bit better. And the commitment and follow-up chapter, we talk a little bit about the engagement process. When it comes to mentoring, it's important to know that you're only responsible for what you agree to. And what you agree to happens typically in your initial engagement. So to go into those conversations knowing that, it will better assist you. And then also, you know what you're accountable for when you leave those situations. So that initial engagement is very important, and it helps you in the follow-up. If time goes by, let's say a year, and you haven't talked to a young man or a young woman that you mentor, a call out the blue can change their entire life. Just to say, hey, I remember some of the things that we talked about. Are you still up to this? Are you still up to that? And a lot of the times these children are either facing abandonment issues, or they're struggling through different traumas that they went through, or they just need some extra support. And you reaching out when it's not required or expected can go a long way. So don't forget your commitment and the follow-up that goes along with the journey. Let's go to the 7th truth, which is going to be the personal development portion. You don't just go into success, you grow into success.
All right.
Brother Brian Darby, that's another one of my mentors there. And that's, I love that quote. I use it so many times, and when I use it, people always think like, yeah, that's powerful. And I'm like, yeah, I said that. Sometimes I give it, I say, yeah, I got that from Brother Brian. But personal development. So I just narrowed it down to 3 things. And I know we talked about writing a lot, but I also want to mention reading. So reading will help you be a better writer. And what I've decided to force reading into my life, into my daily schedule. So when you talk about doing it early in the morning at 5 a.m., I'm up at 4 a.m. and the first thing I do is start reading. So sometimes I'm barely even up. You know, I'm waking up throughout that process. So 15, 20 minutes into it, I've read for 15 or 20 minutes, actually progressing in that book. But then it's also like putting the things in my mind that I'm gonna need to sustain me throughout the day. Right. Before I start picking this up or turning on the TV or getting in the computer, I start reading. And that's been beneficial to me. So I encourage everybody else, if you struggling to find the time to read, do it as soon as you wake up in the morning. And then that way you won't miss it when the day gets going and you can't get back to it. You already took care of it. I try to do it at night as well. But for a person like me, you go throughout the day, you're moving the entire time. As soon as you sit down, you sleep. So try it. Try in the morning if you can. The second thing I would say is health, and as far as fitness, personal fitness, physical fitness, excuse me. Health is wealth. Of course, we've heard that a million times, but it's wealth in the mind, and the body allows, that the body feels good, it allows the mind clarity to be able to process some of these thoughts and even get them out better. So I would say wherever you are in your physical fitness journey, keep going. If you haven't started, start today. If you want to just start walking, whatever you need to do to get started, start that. Get your heart rate going, different things to make yourself feel better. Because once you feel better, you're able to express that to the world. Right. So reading and physical fitness. The third one will be the spiritual side of it. find you a spiritual system. I don't care what, I mean, I do care, but find you a spiritual system that works for you. I won't judge if it works well. Don't give me a reason to judge it. So, no, I'm just joking. But seriously, find a spiritual system that works for you. Pray, find some quiet time. That quiet time is very important. Your environment must allow you to be able, the space, and it must support your intention to be a writer. So the quiet time, the prayer, some people call it meditation, whatever you choose to, but find a quiet time and pray. The creator, find you a God, but just know that the creator is above all. And if you land there, then you're in a good state. I ended the actual book with a letter to all the mentees that I mentored over the years. And the main thing that I wanted to just point out in there, I don't see any in here right now, but if anybody's watching online or they watch it in the future, the main thing when it comes to being a mentee is understanding that you're still the captain of the ship.
Yes.
And it's only going to go as far as you allow it to go. So somebody can tell you all of the right things, set you up with all of the right people. However, if you don't apply that information and use it to the best of your ability, it's a waste of everybody's time, in short. So I'll end it right there. I do appreciate everyone's time today. And I'll open the floor for any questions, but that's the 7 truths, a basic guide for mentoring our youth. Any questions? One question.
Yes, sir. I will say, first of all, great discussion. I love how you set up the book with the 7 truths, given those things. I didn't get the quote for number 6, I think it was.
For 6?
You got me interested now. Reeled me in, so that.
Get money and don't die.
For 6, 6 was Brother James's quote. True mentorship is when the wisdom of the past illuminates the path of the future for those that grow beside us.
Was that the community?
That was commitment.
Oh, okay.
The community was the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child.
Okay, great.
I do want to mention also Sister Fatima's quote. So in 2015, I do want to just say this really quick here. In 2015, myself and a brother named Brother Kadir, who I started the mentorship program with, we had this wild idea that we could take our nephews and our little cousins and we could give them all of the information that we missed over time, like basic financial literacy and those things. Being able to teach my nephew about credit and different things that I didn't learn until I was an adult, that excited me. So we just jumped head first into it. We didn't really know too much about the business side about it, but we knew that we had the passion to give these young men the jewels if we could. So when we started that, we did one actual year, which is a 12-week program. And from that point, our name got out into the community. From there, Sister Fatima Halim, who started the SONS program, which is a rites of passage program. When I was introduced to it, it was about 20 to 25 years old. So it was a long-standing rites of passage program, something that our goals, it aligned with our goals. That's what we wanted to eventually be one day. Sister Fatima invited us over and she said, hey, I don't have the time to run my program anymore, but since you young men are doing such a great job doing what you're doing, how about you all run this program as well? That's how I was introduced to a lot of other people, such as Sister Davina, who was, Sister Davina is, let's clap it up for Sister Davina. Besides Brother Jvion, Sister Davina is probably the most important piece to everything that's been going on with the mentorship program. She was our sergeant at arms, our no, seriously, our admin, our cook at times, our mom at times. It's like everything that we needed, she was there for us, and I truly appreciate you. She actually did the forward in this book, and she has some very nice things to say about me. Thank you for that again. Mama P is actually in the book also. She was part of the program. She did the cooking side for us and came in there each morning and brought us some positive energy and laughs and different things like that. So we couldn't have did it without her, for sure. Of course, I already mentioned Brother Brian Darby. He did a lot of the financial side for us. And then he's also our mentor as well, like me and Jvion. He still mentors us also. So that's part of the reason for this book, to create more mentors. So when Brother Brian mentors us, we mentor the youth. Now they need to find someone to mentor as well. I'm forgetting, Brother Hannibal served with us many times in that mission as well throughout the 7 years, providing suits for the young men and different things like that. So all of that speaks to that village mindset that I mentioned. All of this is living proof that it works. So do not give up on that. Do not give up on it. I don't care how tough it gets, how confusing it may get. Do not give up on your village. We need each other. I'm telling you, I'm probably maybe one of the youngest ones in here, but what I've learned is that we cannot do it by ourselves. So lean on your village. That's right. Where was I?
Lean on your village.
Okay. Back to the questions. Anybody got any other questions?
I'm just proud of you, cousin.
Thank you. Thank you.
This my dad.
I also do want to mention, I've already started on my second book, which is going to be, I'm a co-author with my daughter, Journey. It's going to be a book based around our experiences with me being able to have the blessing and the opportunity to take her to school each morning since she started school. So she's in second grade now, and I've been able to do that. And I've been able to see the benefits in that, and I think she's been able to see the benefits as well. So I'm gonna let her paint the picture, and I'll just kind of oversee it. But I also want to allow her to get this experience a lot sooner than I did. Yeah. But then when she grows up and she has a better understanding of it, she has a product as well. She doesn't have to go to anybody and say, "Hey, I need a job or anything." I have it already. Now, and she can make curriculums from her books. She can do audio books. She can take it so many other different places. So not just her, but everybody who has a book. This is just the start of it. So again, thank you, daughter, for that. Do we have any other questions?
I think it wasn't done. I got you.
All right. First, brother, I want to tell you congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. Just to know and see the work that you all are doing out here is very inspiring. We need more books by experts who work with our youth from the ground up. A lot of people sit in college classrooms and they have concepts of what mentorship should be, concepts on what education should be, but to be someone to go out there and say, no, I'm writing based on experience. I know what works because this is what we're implementing and this is how we're doing it. And to see that you grasp that concept, you all have grasped that concept as a unit, you know what I'm saying? It just speaks volumes. And these are the types of programs, you are the type of young leader and example that should be getting that support that other people are getting based on like credentials, names, things like that. But it should be our grassroots organizations that get our support. So salute.
Thank you.
Process, what's something that you learned about yourself that you didn't know through that process, or maybe something that process reminded you?
That's a great question. So one thing that I learned about myself is that I was actually a better writer than I thought I was, and that also it reminded me of school. So I was like, man, I've always had it. I just never locked in on it because for various different reasons, but I think that's what I learned the most about myself is that even though I was excited and proud of myself for getting to that point, I knew that it should have came way before that, but I'm happy it came when it did. Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you.
Thank you. That part right here.
You came from a long way. All he wrote about, you were there. You know, when he was coming up, he was something else. But I can see how the Lord has blessed him, how he's leading the family. I'm so proud of him. I just want to let him know now and let everybody know. I'm proud of you.
Yes, girl.
We just want to get up because we have already spoken for the family, but I am Marquez's grandmother, and I just want him to know that I'm very proud of him. I feel so blessed because I feel that he's doing a great job for the community and everyone else. And I'm just so proud of all the speakers that I've heard today. They brought some great information to us. So I just want to say, keep on. You guys have really done a great job. I love you.
Thank you, girl. This is everyone. This is my mother-in-law, Felicia. She's definitely one of my favorite people in the world as well. My wife says that we act alike. I'm still trying to figure it out, but that's
Besides all of that, I just want to say, son, I am so proud of you, and I am so proud of the work that you do, and I see it. And I want to say to your mentors and mentees, all the mentees here that I've met through you, the people I've met, you guys are so wonderful. And I'm so grateful to my son, I call him my son, because he's kept me humble, and he's so humble. And all the things that he does, you go, son. You know you're my man.
Anybody else?
Yeah, but me.
Okay. I'm not shy, but I am, and you know I'm proud of you. But it's just one thing that's been on my heart since I've been sitting here since this young man. I know no one can ever take the place of your mom. But if you ever need a mother figure to get some information from, or some love, a hug, or anything,
I take it now.
That's why we call her Mama P, because she's everybody's mama.
Right.
That was beautiful, Mama.
Yeah.
Taking your mama jacket from mama.
Y'all got me up here emotional. You know what I mean? Now, I got a new brother now. You ain't clear that with me before. I like him. It was good. You know what I mean? We'll do the name change later. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Absolutely.
You know, you got all that praise. He ain't all that though. They hyping him up, but you know, you know, gotta be real. But thank you for that powerful message. Y'all give him another. I come here for that. So this last portion is going to be Hannibal and myself. We're going to. He is going to come up here and basically just ask us some questions, whatever questions he has for us, and we're going to talk about our journey, talk about publishing, talk about writing, And you know, they probably did everything for us, so we'll see. There may not be nothing left, but that's what we got next, and then we're out of here. So thank you all.
We can find an area where we can. First of all, we want to say thank you again. We want to say thank you again to our guest speakers. Let's give them another round. I don't know about you all, but I was thoroughly fed by them. And I pray that you all get, I don't want to say everything you deserve.
That sounds bad.
It sounds bad, right? I pray that you go so far beyond your own expectations that it's embarrassing. That's blessings. That it breaks you down on your way to and from just thinking about the blessings that you're going to continue to receive for just opening up to God. All right. So we're going to have you take the chairs, find a seat over here so we can rearrange this. Everybody act like y'all listening to elevator music for a moment while we're trying to set this up. And we get our brother Nikia to do what he got to do best.
Nah, not yet.
Sorry, I missed your speech, man. Bless you. Good.
I was trying not to bombard you, bro. Excuse me. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, okay. I'll grab it.
I'm gonna go grab the stuff
We start in about 2 minutes. 3 minutes.
I said, listen, don't come weapon. I don't know about it.
It's like brother in Columbia, South Carolina. Brother by the name of Cortez, he makes custom necklaces. Yeah, it's not called a house of happiness. Yeah, those two are alike. Appreciate it.
Are you staying?
Yeah.
I'm leaving because I have to. What do they have going on there? What are they doing now? They're doing the Love Summit. I do the Love Summit. So I have my vendor. Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah, because I gotta leave. Come on. How are you?
You know what I'm saying? It's really changed my lifestyle. And it's a great time to take care of yourself,
That was great. Hear me? And when they came all back around, so I didn't want to stand up, but I said, that wasn't nothing but God standing up. Because he came full circle. And what you feel and all of that, that was nothing but God working in you. Telling you, boy, now, you better, that's what happened. Rain it down. So they had all that all up in you. So good for you. I love that baby. And I love that. And look, I like the title. Because you write about it. Yes, sir. Good job. Good job. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Like just for the rest of the day? Yeah. Yes, sir. Were you running the video? Okay, so you download it or just live?
It's live right now. I got to take this off.
Okay, that's the one I'm going to try to do. It's live. It's going to be on the website?
We're going to try to right now I got it on YouTube. Okay, so anybody can access it right now.
You can hear me, let me hear you say yeah!
Likewise.
Yeah!
I can take your seat. So many layers. I learn something new every time.
Step on the back bench too, okay?
Thank you all for your patience. Hope everybody got a chance to use the restroom if you needed to. I know it's kind of hard to walk in front of speakers. Not feel rude. We want to make sure we set it up for all the authors to be able to sign their books for you. Anybody need any water or anything?
There's some waters here.
First off, let me start by just saying this to you. It's going to get very uncomfortable really quick because I'm going to tell you something that we don't say very often. But I love you guys. Love you too.
Love you, brother.
Each and every one of you. And these two brothers right here, whom I have the distinct pleasure of being able to pull and to sharpen and to mold and to shape on right now. I'm not even really worthy to be standing right here with you, but yet they chose me as the one to come up and to ask the question. So I greatly appreciate the honor and the privilege of being in the presence of all of these amazing people. If you haven't seen it, based on what has been spoken and shared from everyone else, this is what community looks like. This is what the essence of what our Creator wants us to be able to do, which is to come one together to share our stories and our experiences, because that's how we become better. That's how we strengthen one another. And so it reminds me of the story of Nehemiah, where it says, and next to them, and next to them, and next to them. That doesn't mean that they were all having the exact same talents or gifts, but each one was doing what they knew and working together collectively as a whole. And so when we come together, we've got to be able to do that. Whatever that talent is that you bring together, these brothers bring some amazing things. And I just wanted to start off by just simply asking both of you to share your thoughts of what was it that initially got you started on the journey to giving back, to helping our people?
He didn't want to start with He's starting with a joke with a deep. I know. He ain't playing. I thought it was about to do 2 + 2 or something. So I can say 8.
So for me, I've always been a people person. I've always been a person that cared about our people, cared about the community, cared about giving back, cared about helping people. Like, that's just me first. Like, I take a lot of pride in helping people in any way that I can with any skill that I have, whether it's helping somebody print apparel, whether it's helping somebody with their books, whether it's helping, mentoring a youth, whether what we do on Wednesdays when we get back to the homeless. So, coming from where I'm from, I didn't grow up with a lot of the mentor. He got one of the shirts that I printed for him.
Shameless plug. All right. Now we know that's how it works.
I didn't have what we have now. I didn't have mentors to look up to. We didn't have a lot of mentorship where I come from. We didn't have a lot of positive outlets. We didn't have that. Bilal talked about, in his book, financial literacy. We didn't learn a lot of those things. So I wanted to be something different and give back something different that I didn't have, right? That's what really got me into giving back. As far as the aspect, as far as where the books are concerned, I just want to see more authors. I want people to tell their stories because I know that we all have a story to tell. And as I mentioned before, it can be transformative for a lot of people. We can genuinely change lives. Like these authors that you guys heard from, it can and it will change somebody's life just because they hear it. And it's a lot of people that they may have imposter syndrome or just maybe have some type of fear of writing a book or just don't want to do it. And when they see somebody else do it, it'll give them an inspiration. Like, okay, I can do that too. This person did it. This person shared this traumatic part about their life. I went through the same thing, but since they are able to share it, now they may feel like, okay, I can too. So that's why I feel like there's a lot of power in writing and sharing your story because you can and you will inspire somebody else to do the same.
Great answer. For me, first and foremost, thank you all for coming again. Much love. For me, it was already in my DNA.
Elaborate on that.
When I run back through just the small version of my history, my grandmother being a missionary, my grandfather being a Mason, my parents being members of the Nation of Islam, and the whole process. That's just small versions. If anybody comes off of Kojic, comes from the Kojic. My uncle is Bishop Richie White, as known as Mr. Clean. So if anybody knows that history, I come from that. So for me, it's opening my eyes, and it's just in my nature to give back, to want for others what I would want for myself. So even when it comes to the concept of writing a book and wanting to see more authors, it's in my nature because you learn that each and every one of us have at least minimum 50 books in us, and we don't realize it. The conversations we have with our friends and family on a day-to-day basis, or when you go to work and your coworker is asking you questions about your weekend and you're telling these odd stories, that's just a regular day for you. That's a book. Some books may be from POV, some are fictional, some are non-fictional, some are exaggerated. So it's just really learning that component. And I got, when I was in college, I wanted to write a book. But my book was titled, How to Woo a Woman on a College Budget.
You know what you was doing.
Just being honest. Before there was a Netflix and chill, it was a rent a movie from Blockbuster and chill.
That's right.
You didn't go to the movies if you couldn't afford it. You bought some groceries and you cooked it up. So it was certain things I wanted to discuss then. But as I matured, I started seeing more value in telling my story. And just as we heard from the speakers, I too was nervous, feared, afraid. Just Hannibal, who's going to read this? But as I started writing it and getting things off my chest, it felt so good. And to have the response from your readers can really, I don't want to say validating, it can be humbling. I was blessed to write 2 books. After writing, they're on display right here to your left or your right, the blue box, and the one next to it, Legacy. When I wrote Legacy, if I can tell the story real quick, there was a sister who seen me. She purchased the book. I took a picture of her, and I seen her maybe about a week later, and she tells me, "Brother, you should start dating your signatures." Okay, yes, I can. That's fine. She said, "No, let me tell you why." She said, "I was having a really, really bad day, and I was thinking about suicide. And I went to speak to some people, but as I'm waiting to talk to them, I decided to open your book. And as I started reading your book, it was so personal to me that it gave me life can shoot a 3-pointer, I have to learn how to first shoot a layup. Before I can cross up, I have to first learn how to dribble without double dribbling. So I went with the process of writing In My Father's Steps. That wasn't the original title. That book is compiled of 14 lectures I've delivered as a student assistant minister. And it was pretty much the 14 most impactful lectures that I've received the biggest feedback and response from. And when I lost, I was working on it, and I know Brother Guy was speaking about, who you would invest that time in to write things and putting the process together. When I was working on that book, I kind of was just like, it'll land whenever it lands. No hurry, just get things done in the process. However, when I lost my father in 2019, for me, it put life into perspective. When I looked at my father and I realized, there's things that we don't always get to accomplish in this little bit of time we have on earth. How will you be remembered? That goes into the second book. What are you doing with your time? And so I decided to dedicate that book to my father, and it made me start working on what we call a bucket list. And as you start working on that bucket list, you realize these things that were considered big to do are so easy, so simple. So you start knocking out a bucket list and say, well, I need a new one. I need more challenges and more challenges. So me writing In My Father's Steps wound up being a dedication to my father at the end of the day. But it's really life journey of self-improvement and discipline and growing into oneness with Almighty God. And then my second book is called Legacy. It's titled Legacy Beyond the Grave. And what happens is during life, we may find ourselves through the obstacles of life. We find ourselves in a sunken place from being beat up on. And we don't realize that when our time comes, if we walked out tomorrow or walked out today and we didn't make it home, how will you be remembered? What is your legacy? What have you and I done with our life? And when you go on a journey like that, or for those in Islam, you're on your jihad, your pilgrimage like that, you start looking at, you may have to separate yourself that you may figure these things out as God is navigating you through it. So my book Legacy is really to their brother Bilal, and how everybody responded to him was an example of the legacy he's creating for himself. That's more or less the key of what the book's about.
Spot on. Thank you for sharing that, brother. And what about you?
So my first book I published in 2016 or 2017 called Sever the Middleman, How to Start a Clothing Brand and Produce Quality Apparel from Home. I've always wanted to be an author. I've always wanted to write. I've always been into writing, even from high school to college. Like I was one of those where teacher tells us to write 4 pages, I'm writing 10. You know what I mean? Like now high school, I was one of those where my intentions would be a little bit too big. I was still cheating a little bit in high school.
But college, words, you got 2 words on one sentence.
College, I'm doing extra, like 10 pages for real. You know what I mean? You're supposed to write 4. I'm doing 10 on all of the papers because I just love writing. So I started a clothing brand in 2015, and a friend of mine, Shia Barrett, who's actually the co-author of my latest book, which I'll get to, she kept telling me you should write a book on, how to start a clothing brand. You should write it. She was doing this for maybe a year. And so I said, you know what? That'll be a great introduction into my life as an author because I know it, I know the business, I know the process, so why don't I have my first book be this book? So I wrote that book in 2016, 17, one of those. I lose track at this point. My next book, Write This Down, is a planner that I published in 2020. And it's essentially a planner about goal setting. It has a calendar in there. It's a way to just keep your routine on track, right? So it's a weekly planner, a 52-week, how many weeks? 52 week, a yearly planner, 52 weeks, right? And it has a lot of good things in there. Third book was Before 18.
All right,
again,
pause right there. Can I pause and ask a question right there? So for those first 2, what was the inspiration behind those 2?
The inspiration was me wanting to, for all my books, me wanting to take all of my experiences, all of my expertise, and give it out there to the world. So people can learn from everything that I know. That's what anything that I do, I want to make sure that people can learn from. I don't want to take, you talk about legacy to the grave, I don't want to take anything to the grave with me. I want to make sure that by the time I'm gone, everything is just extracted, right? So all of my books are experience-based. Every last one of them. Every last one of them are they're experience-based. I learned something, I give it back. That brings me to the third one, before 18, the missing conversations in our communities for our young people. Like I mentioned before, I didn't grow up with certain mentors and learning about, the importance of financial literacy, credit, home ownership, right? Entrepreneurship. I didn't learn about a lot of those things growing up. So I wanted to write a book that's catered to the young men and women that teaches those things and talks about the importance of it. So I talk about the importance of financial literacy, giving tips, credit, relationships, ownership, a lot of those things I talk about. And it is my hope that young men and women can read that book before 18. That way they're prepared for when they do turn 18. Not that they gotta be, no rush, don't kick y'all kids out immediately when they turn 18. Not immediately, it depends on the kid, some of them gotta go. But for the most part, no rush. But it's good to actually be prepared, because a lot of people in other communities, they're prepared by the time they're 15, 16. They know a lot of these things, and we don't. So I wanted to write a book where I could actually give that to our young people. So that way when they do turn 18 or whatever they body believe, you can read. You can read at 14, 13, 12 years. So that way they're prepared. My next book, Extracting Peace Out of Pain, is that the name of the book? Extracting Peace Out of Pain, Life is About Perspective. So all of these, so from before 18 to Extracting Peace Out of Pain, Extracting Peace Out of Pain was my fourth book, I think. I didn't track that. I think it was my fourth book. And what inspired that book was, in 2021, I was diagnosed. Oh shit! Every time I talk about this. I thought I was past it at this point. All right, we good.
It's a life experience.
Right. In 2021, I was diagnosed with glioblastoma brain cancer. Quick update on that. I just got an MRI a week ago, and I'm good. So. Extracting Peace Out of Pain, Life is About Perspective. And what inspired that book was that diagnosis, and how I changed in a lot of ways after that. It's crazy because that book is essentially about legacy, and we came out with our books at around the same time. And that journey, it changed me in a lot of ways, and I viewed life differently, about how important it is to really, a lot of different things, but one, care for your loved ones, right? We're not going to be here forever. It's just a fact. We're not going to be here forever. Everybody has an expiration date. So what's important is what we do in that dash, right? In the time we're here on earth, and caring for our loved ones and being there for them. So the book is essentially about all of the ways that it changed and how it changed in positive ways. Because I didn't want to because I could easily have turned that book into just something just tragic, to where I'm just in the book and I'm sad, I'm just pouring my heart out. But I changed in a lot of positive ways. I view my relationship with my son differently. You know what I mean? I make sure that I'm spending those times with him. I do admit I can do better when it comes to my mother, taking her out doing the things that she likes to do. But it changed me in a lot of positive ways, and I feel like a lot of times we may go through something that's tragic, we may go through something that's hard, and we always look at the negative. But there's always a positive in anything that we go through. There's always something positive that we can extract from anything that we go through in our life. And so that's what I decided to do with that book. Yes, I was diagnosed with cancer, and if I could go back, I would strip that away. But it changed me in a lot of positive ways. It made me a better father. It made me a better friend. Right? It made me a better human being. I went on this rampage to where I set a goal to just come to publish a book literally every 2-3 months. I wanted to publish a book, and that's where it started from with Before 18. Before 18, I published it on my son's birthday in 2022. 3 months later, I published Extracting Peace Out of Pain. 3 months later, I published the next book, which was, what is it again? I don't know these names. I don't know these names.
That's how many he got, man.
Seven books. And that next one, again, it might not have been the next one, but whatever. When you're old enough to understand, A Legacy Left Behind, and this was the one we actually came up with at around like the same exact time, and it's about legacy, and it's a keepsake journal. And what inspired this was in my diagnosis, and the biggest thing for me was if I do go, because when I first talked to the oncologist, man, he had no hope.
3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years.
Yeah, it was bad. So my first thought was like, damn, I'm really not going to be here to see my son grow up. I'm not going to be here for my son to really get all of these lessons from me, to really know who I am. At that time, he was only what, 5 years old, 5, 6 years old? How old is he now? He's 8 years old now. But at that time, he's young. I can't really have certain conversations with him. So I wanted to prepare for if that day comes, prematurely. So I wrote a keepsake journal that has all those key questions, where were you born? Where are you from? What was your childhood like? What's your favorite sports teams? Who's your top 10? Who's your top 5? Just questions to just get to know the father, the mother, the grandfather, whoever it is, right? So I wanted to have that. So if anything were to happen, it can happen 20 years from now. It doesn't matter. I don't want to be too pessimistic. If anything were to happen, he can get that book and he can know who his father is. Everything there is to know about him. And one thing that I also say to pair with that book is pulling out a phone. This is 2024. So pulling out a phone and going through that book and using those as prompts to actually sit down, pull out a phone, and talk about those things. And so I have hours of content on my phone, which I gotta, just in case I gotta let y'all know what folder it's in, you know what I'm saying? Because I be tucking stuff a lot, I gotta let y'all know what folder it's in. And have hours of content on my laptop where it's just me, just whenever I pull out a camera, I just have something to say, right? Because I wanna make sure that whenever I go, hopefully that's 100 years from now, I'm still gonna be able to live on. Like we still talking about Malcolm X. Yes. We still talking about Tupac. We still talking about Marcus Garvey. They passed away years and years and years ago, but we're still talking about that. So I want that to be like when it comes to me, when it comes to the community and my family. I want them to still know who I am and still hear my words. That's why this intellectual property is key. Because we can still live on even in our absence. And that was the big thing that I got when it came to the diagnosis and extracting that piece out of pain, is the importance of making sure that we still live on. Because a lot of times we just feel like, okay, we just go about life and it ends and then we just forgotten. But we can still have an impact even in our absence. We can still be here. Again, we're still talking about a lot of people that have been perished, right? And so my next book after that was it was a journal. So it pairs with write this down, but it's just blank pages on it. This is journal, nothing too special about it. I mean, it looks special.
Very
Thank
special.
you.
Because it allows for these people who are sitting here the ability to put a place to put some thoughts down.
Yes. There you go.
So speaking of that,
Let me speak to my last.
Go ahead.
And the most recent book that I published is entitled, what is it titled? You're Not at War. I'm not playing. You're Not at War. Healthy co-parenting with the absence of toxicity. So I was married, got divorced. My little man over there, he and his mother of his son, we're not together. We started off rocky like a lot of people when we split up. But we finally got to a point where we were at peace and we're able to like co-parent. And now our relationship is better than it was when we were in a relationship. It's great. It's damn near perfect. Am I surprised? I really am. I thought it was gonna be bad. You know what I mean? I'm surprised. What the book is about. Often and it really bothers me is a lot of our people. Whenever we split up, we feel like it's supposed to be war. It's on. I don't like this person. I hate this person. I want the worst for this person. And it's always beef. It's always war. It's always conflict. And I feel like just because we split, just because we're no longer together, doesn't mean that we can't still be a family. It doesn't mean that we can't still be cordial. It doesn't mean that we can't still be cool with each other. I hate the fact that we split up and now it's just like, I don't like this person, I hate this person, I don't like who they're dating. Like, why does that concern you? We should still be a family, we should still be good and do what's best for this kid. And not only just the kid, but do what's best for us. It doesn't help us at all if we are at war with each other and there's a lot of toxicity in our relationship. That's just gonna stress us out. So I wanted to write a book where I can talk about my experiences as somebody that co-parents, to let people know that, listen, you can do it. It's not rocket science. You can do it. My ex-wife and I, my son, the mother of my son, we have 50-50 custody. We swap days. He's with me right now. He'll be with her next week. And we have the best relationship, and we work with each other because we want what's best for our kid, and we also want what's best for us. I don't want to be stressed out. I really don't. Because I thought it was going to go left real fast, but it didn't. You know what I mean? So, mother of my son, you know, I don't even want to put your name out there. Well, you in the book anyway. She in the book anyway, Tracy. Thank you, okay? Thank you. Let's keep it up. We got another what? What's the left for that? 12 years? 8, 9, 10? It don't end there. You're right. You're right. But the next point is keto, right? So thank you for that. Yeah, next question.
Okay, so just so everyone is aware, we do have our next event that's going to take place in the back in the Unity Room. So we're getting ready to shift to that. But before we do this, you guys mentioned mentoring many times. It was Sister Symone. Where's she at? Where's she going? Okay, all right. So Sister Symone mentioned the importance of a mentor in her writing process. How do people get in contact with the both of you in regards to that if they want to choose you as a mentor to help them with getting their next book out? You've got a publishing company, I know, so just tell the people how they can get in contact with both of you.
So on my IG is Jvion Vision. I have cards up here. Jvion Vision, Jvion Vision. The website is Vision Aspires, and that's spelled, it's like A Vision, but it's AH Vision, Vision. That name is actually derived from my son's name, who's Amari. His name is spelled AH, so I just put the AH on it, and it's Vision Aspires, and .com, and that's my website, and again, my cards.
I was actually going to talk to these two other brothers and looking to establishing some kind of partnership or mentorship program this year that we could put together to make it easier for those who are looking to write books. So I don't want.
You already writing it right
now. This is book number 3 I'm working on. I ain't got the first one done yet.
I'll write this down in your phone real quick. I want you to go to kdp.amazon.com. KDP is for the Kindle publishing side of Amazon. And what I want you to do is set up an account. Set up a profile. Even if you don't have all the information on what the book's going to be called and all that other stuff, Amazon is one of the easiest processes to self-publishing, and you get most of your return from it. So the good thing about it with Amazon, you can ship your books as author copies and then sell them at full price, which allows you to make a bigger return. You know, as Brother Guy was mentioning earlier, Amazon has the platform where everybody buys on Amazon. I know everybody got Prime somewhere. Whether you got it, you know somebody who got it, you're utilizing theirs. So let's be like Netflix. It's a platform that is there. You know, you'll get a return, I think, every 60 to 90 days. They take about 40% of it back. But if you're going to do the author copy, you're just paying them the apprenticeship. And it's cheap. And as much as at least expensive. And if you decide to self-publish, establish a relationship with the post office. You can go to the post office and do what's called media mail. Media mail gives you a discount on shipping. So I might be charging $6 for shipping and handling, but when I go to the post office, I'm only paying $2.45 to ship a book, where we're used to doing flat rate at $10. Right. So long as it's a book, it's a book. You know, it's media. You can slip in a bookmark or something in there, but as long as you're not doing other things, you know, and it kind of goes at their rate. I mean, their shipping time, so it's not a rush. So those are two major things I'm asking you all to do. I wish we had more time, but we really want to keep the time open for our speakers. But I really want to spend some time and really go through some practices today. So maybe we can do a follow-up.
Indeed.
Yeah, because this is probably most likely no longer going to be just once a year. So we could do another one of these in another 3 or so months and just have it like a quarterly thing. So yeah, we have much more that we want to talk about. So what I think we should do now is just leave everybody with a writing tip. And so I'll go first. And I always say when it comes to writing, it's like a navigation, right? When you get in the car, the first thing that you do, let's say you don't know where you're going. You don't just get in the car and just drive off. I would hope not. You know, gas is a lie. Yes, you just drive. You turn left. You should turn right.
This from GPS. Come on.
Right, I would hope that you would make sure that you would put the address in that navigation system, so that way you know where you're going. And so with the book, it's the same thing. That navigation system, that's the title.
Right.
That's the table of contents. That's everything that you're going to talk about in that book. When you have that. And that's set, it makes it much easier to write. You now have that guide. A lot of times people probably just sit down and they're just like, you know what, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to start writing. And then they just keep on hitting writer's block. And the reason is because they really don't know what they want to talk about. They have a bunch of thoughts jumping up in their head. So when you have that navigation system, it makes it easier to guide. And here's what I have to say about writer's block. Another analogy, I like analogies. Let's look at a puzzle, right? When you do a puzzle, I don't know how y'all get down with a puzzle, but I like to do them. So y'all educated too. Y'all smart too. You do the border first. You do that outline first.
That's right.
From then, now you can pick. Okay, I'm gonna start from the top left, and I'm gonna go this like this, or I'm gonna start from the bottom right, or maybe it's if a puzzle has images. Okay, I'm gonna start with this person's face, right? That's the same thing when it comes to a book. That outline, that border, that's the outline of the book. That's the title, and that's the outline of the book. So that's the chapter headings, the chapter headings, and not only the chapter headings, but it's also everything individually that you're going to talk about in the book. So typically what I do is I always write like 90% of my desktop is the book. And on the right side, I have the chapter heading, and I have every single thing in bullet points that I'm going to talk about in that chapter, right? And then I just flow about it like that. Now, when it comes to the writer's block, a lot of times, let's say I'm working on chapter 2, and I have 5 points that I want to talk about. First one's good, second one's good, third one, I'm having issues. For some reason, it's not flowing. Now, I have a choice to, like Symone was saying earlier, is just write, right? And know that you can always edit later, which is an option that I often go with. But sometimes it's just not flowing at all. So what I do is, like a puzzle. If you get to a point where you're working on that puzzle and now you can't find any more pieces, go to another part of the puzzle. Right. So that's what I do. I just go to that next part. Whatever that next topic is, I go there. Let's say that one's not working out. Go to the next one. That one's not working. Go to the next chapter.
Yes.
That chapter, you're not feeling it, or maybe you were having a conversation with somebody. You're working on chapter 2, but you were having a conversation with somebody that relates to what you wanted to talk about in chapter 8. So it's on your mind. You feeling that. Write about that.
Yes.
You don't have to go in a certain order. Now, when it comes to nonfiction or fiction, or the type of book, sometimes you may have to discuss a certain point before you get to that next one. But typically, there's always ways where you can always move things around. You can always, even if you write chapter 2, like oftentimes, like I'll write chapter 2 and move it to where chapter 5 is. You can always move things around. Nothing is set in stone. So I wanted to leave everybody with that.
That's it. Let's go. Here's the last thing. The last thing I would say is this: don't think that you have to have it figured out all alone. Lean on your community that we have. We've got some amazing people that you've seen here that are authors already. You've got this amazing venue.
Yes.
You've got grassroots bookstore.
Yes.
There's no excuses.
No.
If you're on the go and you need an app to write, I use this app called Writer-P. Now it's for Android, just so you know. For those that are iPhones, too bad. You already got you have notes. You have notes. But use those tools to help you with being able to just put stuff down. Just put it down. It may not even make sense to you at the moment. Put it down. Yes. All right. Peace and love. Wait, we got a question.
I'm actually a screenwriter, and it's writing, but it's in a sort of, it's in a different format, but it's writing the story. So how would this mentorship work with a screenwriter, or could it even work because of the format?
I don't think format's an issue.
personally. I don't
As far
think it
as
is.
mentoring?
I don't think it is. Are you looking to make it a movie? Is that
Oh,
the purpose?
yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I've been I get to a certain point and I hit a wall, and I'm, I was talking to my sister, she says, you need a coach, that gets you from the end to the next, getting it to, film company, a producer, or a contest, or whatever.
I mean, I do a lot. I've actually written some screenplays myself. I do my thing. You know what I mean? So, and I would say to answer that question, I mean, we can assist as an accountability partner.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I mean? And again, you probably have more experience with screenwriting than I do. But I have written short films. I have a background in film and screenwriting, so I know the formatting and all of that. So I think I would be able to assist, and again, on that accountability aspect of it, and maybe like adapting it into a book, if that's something that you wanted to do.
I in my writing class, I was actually told, you're doing it backwards, right? Because you're going to get paid on the novel and then put it in a screenplay, so you get paid twice, because someone else, if you sell it, they can turn around and rewrite your, script into a novel. But I tried to make I tried to change gears, and because I had been studying it so long, it just isn't working for me to make that shift yet. But I've actually thought about that, like, why are you doing all this when you need to actually write the novel first?
There's no shift. It's the same concept. All you're doing is shifting. I don't say shift. You may be tweaking here and there in the process. So, one thing about a film, you're giving it more of a visual, because you're setting it up in a way to use the camera to paint the picture. Where now you might get a little more detail in certain components of it that will allow the person to visualize it instead of seeing it. I had a question I wanted to throw out for you real quick. How many of you ever been to work and you got stressed? Every day. Have many of you have children and they stressed you out?
No, never. No, not at all.
But at some point, there's a process you wind up taking. You get to work, I need 10 minutes. You go outside, right? Or you might get on the phone with your mom or your cousin or something, you gotta vent. Sometimes we forget, it's the same idea when you're writing. You know what, I'm gonna leave this right here. Because if I force it, I'm gonna have to come back and fix it. Pause, I'm gonna go take a drive, I'm gonna go spend some time here, I'm gonna put my mind on something totally different. I come home and watch like Family Guy. What? But I need my mind off what I deal with every single day. I need my mind off something totally different when I have to think at times. So you may have to go do something totally different and then come back because you're creative again. You may not touch that scene for a while because there's something you haven't experienced yet in life that's going to draw out that scene. But you can go do a whole bunch of other scenes, and the next year you come back to that scene. If you ever, we have Netflix and we have these different streaming sites, streaming platforms. They don't all do full movies no more. Everything's broken off into episodes, series, right? Well, look at each episode as a chapter. At some point in time, most seasons go about 10 episodes. You might be at 15 episodes trying to force the 15. As Symone mentioned earlier, I'm at 10. I got a good cliffhanger right here. I got a good to be continued. Let me stop at 10, make that the movie, and I can roll this into the second movie, or the second book, the second whatever it may be, the second novel, and you go from that component there. So I hope that answers.
And one more thing, you mentioned you get a mentor, and we actually have a brother in our community. He's not here, but his name is Roosevelt, and he's really heavy into
resources,
filmmaking. So I can pair you with him. I had a teacher. I went to a music school, Music Institute in Hollywood, and he was my writing teacher, Dan Campbell. And he would tell us, like, if anybody ever asked you if you could do something, yes, the answer is yes. So when you first mentioned, I'm like, oh, I got you. You know what I mean? I got you. I can help out. But we have resources, so I can pair you with that brother, and he can help guide you and mentor you in that space.
You want to have your hand up?
Yeah, I didn't I just wanted to say something quickly. I wanted to say it earlier, but then you mentioned it again kind of right now. When it comes to mentorship and choosing your mentor, too, don't only lean into your mentor as far as your book goes. With my journey as Brother Hannibal being my mentor, a lot happened. I had a baby, I went through a breakup, I lost everything. And through that process, I leaned on you. we were able to have conversations that assisted me in continuing my writing journey. So even you as a screenwriter, whatever you're enduring, we have a habit of calling our friends, calling our family. It's one thing for people to be able to feed you flesh-wise, but to feed your journey is something completely different. So definitely lean into your mentors, get to know them, like allow them to get to know you personally. That way they learn your habits. They know, like, all right, Brother Hannibal knows if he ain't heard from me in a while, it's probably time to reach out. There's something probably going on, things like that. So just lean into your mentors as far above, think above and beyond your book when they're mentoring you, and allow them to walk with you as like a partner on your journey. I wanted to say that earlier, but then you kind of takes like.
If I could add one thing too, from my experience, consider your audience. Like you're writing a film, who's your demographic? Who are you writing it to? What's the message that you're trying to get across? A lot of times that can help me out with writer's block and when I get stuck and who I'm trying to influence.
All right, we got a shift.
All right, so everybody grab your chairs and take it to the other room. We ain't gonna put y'all to work.
Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you so much.
You enjoy the rest of your week.